All right, chapter 58, The Trek to Ukab. I'll never forget this. This was some time. The Swakop summer is the reverse of American summers. Like Christmas holiday season is finally over, and the tourists, the money moochers, and the South African hangers-on were all gone. Ukab was the best psychic tonic I ever had. It was like a dose of salt for my mind and a high energy boost for my body at the same time. School had been in session since February, and Danielle and I were adjusting to the idea that an old man and a young girl can actually get along just fine when in-laws and other interfering grown-ups do not meddle. Our marriage ceremony was planned for the week after my first Social Security check was deposited in my Wilmington bank account. It was very late in coming. It looked like I had to go back to the States to straighten it out. And again, the cavalry came to the rescue. Thanks again to my buddy John Flaherty and Mrs. Daniello, the wife of the Democrat state chairman at Joe Biden's office, working there. It took them many weeks to sort it out. Lots of emails back and forth. And I had to return 6 months of actual paper checks that were mailed to me by the Social Security Administration by mistake, so they could start all over again from scratch and automatic deposit in my Wilmington bank account. It worked out. We got married, and I will never forget the Biden folks. Magnificent effort on my behalf. People always wonder why I love Joe. Joe has always treated me so great, and I was the campaign manager against him. That's why I love the guy. We had 20 students still attending class regularly, some coming only every other week like Cooksey, doing some special computer projects assigned to make up for the time out of class. We used a 4-person survival team approach for learning everything. With 5 teams of 4 students each, they were assigned to work together. Each group of 4 was made up of a different local languages with at least one member with strong English. The entire team was graded together as one unit in every subject. The point being, the weakest in English gets help from the strongest, so they can all pass. The books arrived from Goldie Beacom, arrived safely, and have been distributed, read, and recopied for those who needed time to sort out the English. Andrew and Janita became great teachers, and the computer was going day and night, with Danielle now living in our flat, which was our school, 24/7, helping everyone who visited during the week enthusiastically with their homework and other assigned computer projects. The 3 of them took to the computer like members of Best Buy's famous Geek Squad. Even the weather was totally normal. As usual, Swakop has 4 seasons during each and every day. Cool to freezing cold at night. Very misty in the early morning. Spring arrives around 9 a.m. Summer, for sure, 11 a.m. and fall by 4 p.m. And then winter comes again when the darkness falls. Americans would absolutely love it over there. They can enjoy putting on and taking off their layered outfits 4 times a day with an actual reason to do it. That's a joke. Annually, summer begins in September, lasts until February. Then winter begins coming on slowly and lasts until the next August in Swakop. The 4 seasons come every day, unless there is east weather, or bird winds as the old-time Germans call it. If you want to know what it's like, think of the Santa Ana winds out on our west coast, if you're from the United States. The wind blows steady and very hard from the Namib Desert off the sand toward the sea. It brings all the sand it can carry with it for about 8 to 10 hours straight. The sand will actually blast paint off your vehicle. Truly. When the wind comes, by the way, when the wind stops abruptly for a few hours and the weather turns absolutely fantastic, the whole town hurries to get out their braais lit. A braai is a campfire. And the meat is cooking and the beer cans popping as the celebration of east weather stops for a couple hours. Sounds exciting, huh? Well, if you do that for 6 straight weeks in a row, you'll soon get sick and tired of it. At least I did. The malady is called cabin fever. There's not much else to do in Swakopmund. Generally, winters tend to be very dreary and summers tend to be very hot. By the way, surfing in Swakop is the best anywhere on the African Atlantic coast, and surfers come for contests from all over the world. I don't surf. It's too damn cold. The water in the height of the summer is still freezing because of the current who comes around from Antarctica, swinging around the point of the Cape and flowing up along the Namibian coast from the tip of the Horn of Africa. But again, that's why the fishing is so good and attracts international fishing fleets. Danielle and I walked every day on the lonely Atlantic beach until we hit a certain predetermined point. Then we turned and walked back. Everything was completely quiet and completely normal. Tai Chi was going great, Tuesdays and Thursday nights. I loved meeting and talking with my senpai, Wotan Swigas, about life in general. I was reading books I had always craved to read, and he was constantly giving me a new one with a different point of view. We discovered Dan Brown together, long before the rest of the world, and debated the truthfulness of the Da Vinci Code often. It just did not get any better than this. The UCOB Final Exam Trek project was taking shape. The students were totally in charge. I was orienting them to be business people, so they could meet the business community in person and someday get jobs in the town. And what better way to advertise their skills than to let them plan for a budget, then beg the business community for the essentials needed for the entire camping trip. They were gathering food, drink, transportation, getting permits where necessary, scheduling time off, planning babysitters, getting the proper clothing, sleeping bags, first aid, hygiene, toilet paper, plates, cups, eating wear, and recreation. You name it. They planned it. Because one thing was for absolutely certain. I wouldn't. They were on their own. And guess what? It was to be for 10 days in June. I was amazed at the generosity of the Swakop people once they understood our plan. Teaching love your neighbor was going to be put to a real test. Every racial, language, tribal theme was represented, and we will all stay inside one large corral as if living a survival show in a desert island at the UCOB. The corrals that are up there are for tourists, and they're built for tourists and managed by the nearby village. Paul was the manager of the Rhino Trust, that's where this was. Each group will be assigned a specific educational project. They will teach the villagers about the brand new Social Security system adopted by the Namibian government. They will also do the same for the new labor laws, the new workers' compensation laws, the new election laws, the new criminal laws, and all the villagers are now subject to a brand new Namibian constitution. This was a terrifically exciting challenge. The hard part will be watching Andrew, their newly elected leader, negotiate it all with Johannes, who I prepared ahead of time during my 10-week trek. We called the camping adventure The Trek. And then we will start with chapter 59,